Good afternoon. Recently I've been watching a lot of stand-up comedy and interviews with comedians and comics. I'm especially fond of Jerry Seinfeld's show on Netflix, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, because, well, there are two of my interests right there, cars and comedy. If I had quicker wit about me, I'd definitely strive to be a stand-up comedian. It's something that's always interested and astonished me. Although I suppose quick wit doesn't really have to come into it. A lot of it is pre-written. I suppose then a lot of it comes down to memory. Pardon me. But then, you have to generate the material from somewhere, and I imagine after the first 3 or 4 lines or 3 or 4 minutes of entertainment, I would probably be out of steam. But then again, I've never tried it. It's probably something that I would have a go at in private. I wouldn't sign up for an improv comedy show because I'd be useless at it. But then again, I don't know, I might actually get somewhere with it. But it's not really a main focus of mine, just an interest. But stand-up comedy in general, interesting, especially how some people can convey a message through a mixture of words, movement, body language, and sometimes just in the faces they pull. A key example would be Eddie Murphy in his shows Raw and Delirious. There's quite a few bits in there that he does where his communication with the audience through just a simple stare tells a story, which is awesome. But that's an aside, really. Today I've been reorganising my office. My cupboard under the stairs office. I had no intention of doing it. It's a bloody hot day. It's about 30 or 31 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit, outside. I don't know what that is, maybe 100 degrees. Actually, I've got my laptop here. Let's have a look. 31 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah. 88 degrees. Not that bad, I suppose. I don't know Fahrenheit. This is England after all. So organising my office. By organising it, I mean I literally pulled out the desk, pulled out my computer, pulled out everything, all the cables, the lot, power cables, network cables, you name it, I pulled it. The only thing I didn't actually move was the speakers. Everything else short of the speakers out of there. Gave a bit of a clean up, a bit of a reorganisation, plugged everything back in. As I was clearing stuff out, I spotted a box stashed behind my desk with a handwritten label on it saying computer bits. I was like, oh, what have I been storing? One thing in particular I was kind of hoping would be in there is a camera, because a couple of years ago I bought a small GoPro style action camera, and I'm fairly certain I've only used it once and it's disappeared since. It wasn't in this box though. All I found in here, a bunch of books. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, my favourite. I've read that about 5 times now. Hunter Thompson, absolute genius author. A few other things. Sea Pocket reference. That's come in handy a few times. What else? Well, you can see where a lot of my concentration lies, or used to be, at least anyway. And then a bunch of Matthew Riley novels. If you've never heard of Matthew Riley, he writes action novels, quite interesting. Lots of action from literally the first few minutes of reading all the way to the end, especially the Scarecrow series of stories. They're really good. We'll have a look through that later. So yeah, now my office is a bit more cleaned up. I also removed 2 fans from my PC, which might not be the smartest move given the weather and how hot it is and has been. However, it is far too noisy. In total, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fans and a water pump running in there. Just no need. So that's now reduced to 3 fans, and the water pump remains as a water-cooled CPU. Went for a walk this morning, only for an hour, not the longest walk ever. But then I only slept for about 3 hours last night. I think it was just too hot. I couldn't get to sleep. I was still awake at 2 a.m. Woke up at about 10 past 5, 20 past 5. Got out of bed at 5:30. Went for a walk. Yeah, not too far. I think it was, I'm sure I worked it out before, it's about 3.5 miles. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, I was listening to an interesting podcast from, this sounds terrible, I don't actually know who the host was, but the guest on there was Vanessa Lau. Now she's something of a newly found YouTubepreneur. Is that a word? Obviously it's not a word. But yeah, she's, I suppose you can say, a rising star in the world of YouTube. And she has a lot of interesting information. At some point I do intend to go through all of her videos with a keen eye, a sharp pencil and an empty notebook, because she does offer a lot of valuable information. Apart from that, I've not been all too productive today. Been very sweaty, been very hot. Don't really feel like I want to do anything. And killing spiders. It's that time of year when all the spiders just want to migrate from the garden to the inside of the house. In fact, as I'm sitting here, I can see 2 slowly making their way in through the window. Bastards. Yeah, so that's it for today. And happy summer. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, happy almost summer.